Okay, so speaking of patriarchy, I'm going to put you on the spot a bit.
Sure.
Why does the police in general have such a hands-off approach to incidents of domestic violence? Like, why do people always say, oh, the police came and they said, ye to gharelu masla hai and hum nahi involved ho rahe? Like, why? I mean, isn't the law enforcement supposed to A, enforce the law, and 2, protect? And why are we not able to do that for women over here?
It's a couple of issues. Yes, of course, I think for the longest time, domestic violence was seen, or rather not particularly seen, as a crime by many police officers. Perhaps you would still perhaps get the sort of response, especially at a police station level or at the level of sort of the lower ranks, where, you know, if a woman was, say, slapped or beaten up by her husband, the attitude of a lot of the first responders would be, well, you know, it's par for the course, or she deserved it, or something like that. The other issue is also that I think generally in terms of society, we tend to, because again, we don't, as a society, and I've always said this, that the police is only reflective of the society that it works in, right? And in fact, the police usually mirrors that society pretty accurately. So if it's a society that's amoral, it's more than likely that the police is going to be amoral about things. And in our societal approach, when you have cases like this, often the first instinct is for people to say, let's kind of, you know, bring the parties together and let's sort of tone down the situation and let's do what we call in our police lingo, mukmuka. Okay. You know, the sort of husband's family or the wife's family sits down. In many cases, the wife's family will also pressure the woman as a victim to say, okay, you know, let bygones be bygones. It was a one-off incident. You know how
which
far
it never is.
Which it never. Which you know, statistics tell you that it never is. It's usually a repeat problem. On top of that, I think the other big, I would say, sort of disincentive for any woman who wants to sort of speak up is that if I, as a woman, speak up and say, no, I want to, you know, I'm going to register this case. I don't care if he's my husband. I don't care if my family doesn't accept me. I don't care if I get divorced on the back of this. The state's apparatus for kind of helping out that woman is limited, right? So where limited. You don't, I mean, we had this, I remember a couple of years ago, we had this debate about, okay, if someone comes up like this, you cannot, obviously the woman is the complainant, she's the victim, not the criminal. So you're not going to keep her in a police station. No. So what is the sort of wider support mechanism? Where are the sort of, you know, women's protection homes or shelters or those sorts of things? Because without that infrastructure, if that woman at the end of the day kind of works out her options and says, yeah, okay, I can do this, I can pursue this case, but at the end of it, after 6 months or 8 months, I have to go, likelihood is I'm going to have to go back to either my parents' house, where they will force me to go back to my husband, or I have to go back to my husband. All of this will be held against me. So, you know, many times what you do find is that after an initial sort of outburst of the victim being very, very determined to push through with the case, when these unfortunate realities sink in, she herself backs down and says, you know, as long as he kind of gives an affidavit that he won't do this again. So it's not just a policing issue.
It's a societal
issue, and it's not just about, you know, improving the quality of investigation, which I admit has to be improved in these sorts of cases, but it's about also creating this sort of supportive infrastructure around. And it's, you know, I mean, we're talking about domestic violence against women, but it's the same with things like child abuse as well, right? Same sort of issues that, okay, if you have a child who sort of comes up where will
Where
that
do you
child
take
go?
the child?
You know, will the
Yeah.
child go? There's no sort of social services structure.
Absolutely.
The likelihood is if the child is put in some kind of foster
Things
home,
might get worse.
Things will be
Yeah.
actually get worse. So
So
it's these sorts of things that we've got to develop these structures
it's
alongside.
depressing, the reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.